Sure. So our business name is Abbey Health Stations, or Abbey Health. And what we do is we develop these health ATMs, or sometimes we call them robotic nurses or self-service health stations. And what they do is a full self-service health check in 2 to 3 minutes, and everything is non-invasive. So we do all body measurements besides for blood tests like HIV, cholesterol, and glucose. So things that we do is your blood pressure, your heart weight, BMI, body fat, oxygen. There's 19 health checks now that we do. Also, temperature has been added recently. And where these are used is mainly public clinics. So we help with efficiencies in clinics and hospitals, in occupational health settings like mines and yeah, places where occupational health is a necessity by law. So it also helps with efficiency there and digitizing the data. We've played around in pharmacies. We are in corporates for employee wellness. And yeah, I mean, it's been 3 years into the journey, and we pretty much, like I said to you earlier, we like just getting started. And there's so much more on the horizon, which I'll tell you about, I guess, a bit later when we go into more detail. But yeah, let me go on to the Abbey journey maybe. So Abbey now has only been going for 3 years or so, but the concept itself has been, let's say, in the works for about 15 years, maybe more. So Abbey Health, it's a family business. So it's myself and my dad, we partners. His main company is called R. Sandler and Co. And essentially, he's been the distributor for a product called Tanita, which is a Japanese brand for body composition monitors, that he supplies to individuals. So people like Herbalife, people that buy on Takealots, people just buy scales for their homes where they can measure their own body composition, like how much fat they have, how much muscle they have, how much water, etc. So he's been doing that for a very, very long time. And basically, the background is that the Chinese market started copying this Tanita body composition monitor and coming in at a very, very low cost, but obviously the quality wasn't as good. So he used to sell these into discounts and pharmacies and just online direct. Then when the Chinese models came in, the discounts and the clicks and the big pharmacies wanted to go for a more lower cost option, which kind of kicked Tanita out. So I'm speaking about my dad a lot, and you'll see why, because he basically is the brainchild of Abbey, where I'm more on the marketing side, more of an entrepreneur than an entrepreneur. So yeah, to try and cut the story short, he started thinking, okay, he can't sell these 2,000 Rand scales when the other scales are 200 Rand in the stores. So he started focusing on group monitoring and measuring groups of people. So a trainer, a coach, someone who can measure lots of people with software that he started developing with a developing partner. So this software was developed. Later on came a device called a Healthinator. And this was a early version of what Abby is now. So the Healthinator also did a few health checks that we do now, like your blood pressure and your BMI, but it would print a ticket. So what you do is you go up to the machine, like an analog type machine, enter your age, enter your gender, and it would measure you and spit out a ticket. There was no connection now to the internet, and there was no data that we could leverage. So I was still in school while my dad was doing this Health project, and he started off with the South African police, where he was selling these devices into there, and then they would collect these tickets and put them in a file. And while this was going on, he was trying to put his software that he developed for Tanita onto the Healthinator. Now, this is when I started coming out of school, and I was seeing this whole project slowly progress into what it is almost today. So when I came into the business, what my main objectives were, and the three things that I focused on was, okay, you've got these in the South African police, you've got them, these are the academies, South African police academies where they go to train. You've got that one in Anglo American Gym, and he's had a few in Planet Fitness gyms at the time, still no internet connection. So I came in focusing on we need to get the customer experience right. We need to devise an all-in-one solution. So it was very compartmentalized. There was like a touchscreen computer hanging off the side of a old Healthinator where it was connected by wires, and there was a process where someone basically needed help in order to do an assessment. So my role there was user experience, bringing it into one solution where we started playing around with 3D printing in the beginning and then telling the manufacturer, this is what we want, this is how we want it. Then I started focusing on the networking in a very big way. So networking to people who I thought this would add value to. So the self-service device that could measure as many people as it needs to without a human being physically being there. Right. And then after the networking, a big thing was the commercialization. So how do we get this to scale across the country and then across the continent? So I spent the first year or two rebranding from Healthinator to Abby. So a more of a friendlier name. Healthinator was quite intimidating for some people. Just a name change actually was a good marketing call. People seem to like that and warm to it a lot more. Getting the user experience to make it completely self-service, that was essential. So we could just put it down somewhere and you don't need a human being to actually facilitate that engagement. So we started in about 2018 when we launched Abby, and it took us a very, very long time to sign our first deal, our first proper deal. So it took us about a year and a half until things started happening. So we played around in all different markets saying, we've got this device, we've got this software, we've got a great solution where other people can remotely monitor other individuals wherever they are in a clinic, hospital, gym, pharmacy, wherever it may be. Now, what's the model? How do we get these things out there? So we went to pretty much everyone we could. And like I said, the first 2 years was networking with people in different industries that I thought would be relevant. Insurance was the first one. So people kept saying, insurance, this is a great angle. People can do their health checks and you're collecting data. So with insurers, we started going to them with an angle of let's do employee wellness using the Abbey health stations. So we got one or two deals where they would say, come to a wellness day, bring these Abbeys, and we'll put them there for the day, and then we'll pay you for that day, and then you guys will take it away. So that just wasn't cutting it because the big vision of Abbey is to combat rising obesity, essentially. So non-communicable diseases, which are NCDs like hypertension, strokes, heart attacks, diabetes. These are all lifestyle diseases that can be prevented. So again, we're thinking now, how are we going to achieve this vision of preventing obesity and non-communicable diseases when we're doing wellness days, once in a while, bringing a machine, getting someone measured, and then leaving the next day? It just didn't make sense. So how do we scale? Then we went on a kind of a different road where we started saying, look, we need these devices in many places and people to use them as often as possible. So a question here is, to be healthy, it's really easy. So what do you think it takes to be healthy? Okay, number one, eat well, eat healthy. And number two, exercise every day. So it sounds simple, right? But clearly, it's not working, that simple advice, because 70% of our population, South Africa, is obese and overweight. So something's not working. The concept is simple, but it's the little details that people need help with. So we said, okay, what we've got here is a tool that engages people about their health. It makes them aware of their health status, which is very important, and the acceptance of their health. So the acceptance of their health only comes from doing 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 measurements on a device. It can be any device, doesn't have to be an Abby device, but it needs to be something that you accept, you trust, and that's consistent. Once the person accepts the fact that that is their health, then that's when change starts to happen. So going back now to the model of how do we move from employee wellness to a more long-term structured full-time device in a location where people can use it often and as much as possible and for free, which is very important. So then we started thinking, okay, let's go to the life insurers and let's see what they think about it. Where generally for life insurance, they want people that are healthy, they want people that are young, and they want people generally before while they start having kids, their first kids, or while they start building a family and dependents. So we said, we've got people using our devices for free. Now, why can't we market to those people life insurance? Because now you know who's healthy, you know who's unhealthy, and we can now target your marketing or your promotions to say, look, we know that you're healthy and you fit into a great category, so we can give you a good premium for life insurance. So we started attacking that angle. That went really well for about a year, a couple months, maybe 9 months until COVID hit. And then usage of our devices just started going way down in places like spa stores or pharmacies. So people weren't leaving their houses, it was a big problem. Then what we did from there is we said, okay, people aren't really using these devices in spa stores or pharmacies. So what we need to do is find a place where there will be big usage for them. So we had a pilot going with the Department of Health, so Gauteng Health or City of Joburg. Just if I'm kind of going all over and off track, it's because our journey has been just so fragmented. So you can just stop me whenever. But we had a pilot location in the public health clinics. It's called River Park, Alexandra, and it's still there. So we said, look, let's take the other ones that are in the spas and are in the pharmacies and just put them into public clinics. And usage actually shot up. So during COVID, we found that, okay, great place is public locations. We got clinics, people using them. We can learn more about the product and what can be done from there. So at this current rate, the public health, they don't pay for it. So we've had to get very creative with how we do pay for it, and bringing on private partners to fund a public initiative has now been our focus from here on out.